Hi, everyone. My name is Monique Too Soon, and if you have been watching Ghosts and Glitter, then you are ready to hear the results of my pet reading. Last fall at Mass Paracon, I had the privilege of meeting a pet medium and completely fell in love with the whole concept and idea of this. And I got immediately on that waiting list. And tonight we're going to go over the results of my pet reading. I am going to bring Rob Gutro in just a second, but before I do, I just want to kind of talk about the pets I have and how they fit into this reading and maybe what we're going to hear tonight.
It's time to meet Monique. There's no one quite like she. A ghost hunting drag queen. She'll tell you all you need. Cause strikes the highest form of energy there is. So come on, boys and girls, join our paranormal world. Ghosts and glitter. Join the ghostess with the mostest. Ghosts and glitter. Monique too soon, hopes you don't get too soon. Ghosts and glitter. Ghosts and glitter. Join the ghostess with the mostest. Ghosts and glitter.
I currently have 3 pugs. So I have Handsome, Cutie, and Sexy. One is tan, one is white, and one is black. And I had a pug named Gorgeous, and he passed away, and he was my favorite dog ever. And I had such an emotional connection with him. And that's the dog the reading is for. But a month before Gorgeous had passed away, we lost another dog in our household named Oreo, who is a fluffy little Japanese chin. And he died of mouth cancer, but we never really found out how Gorgeous died. So kind of hoping to have that conversation come up tonight and go over these results live. There's a chance I might get emotional, but right now I'm going to bring in Rob Gutro, and we're going to have Rob. Hi, Rob.
Hi, Monique. Thanks for having me back.
I am so excited to go over these results today, and I'm very excited to see you again, obviously. And why don't you give us a quick bio so we can add that to this as well?
Sure. So my name is Rob Gutro. I'm an author of right now 11 books, and I'm a medium. I specialize in pets, so I call myself a pet medium. During the day, I'm a scientist, so I explain everything in terms of energy. I have 3 series of books: Pets in the Afterlife, which is what we're talking about today, Ghosts versus Spirits, and Ghosts on Medium's Vacation. And Monique, I am so thankful and humbled that you asked me to do a reading for you.
Oh, I am so excited to go over the results. I've already read through them so that I wouldn't be surprised by anything on the air, but I'm really excited, and this has been a really cool reading. So I can't wait to share this with the world and share you with the world.
Thank you.
So my dog had passed, and his name was Gorgeous, and he was a pug, and he lived to be I want to say like he was 13 when he passed, and he woke up one day, or we woke up one day, and he wasn't the same. He wasn't there, essentially, is how we would describe it. It was almost as if he had a stroke or something happened to his brain overnight, and he was just kind of not there at all, and just kind of laying around and not doing anything. And then that was the day we made the decision that it was probably time to put him down. He had massive back problems before that, could barely walk. So there was just a lot of different things, and we never really got the closure from it because we really didn't know what happened to him. And he was my best friend. I know how people consider their dogs their kids, but this was my kid. The first dog I ever had outside of living with my parents. The first dog that me and my husband got together, it's been like almost 19 years we've been together. So, this was our first baby. And this dog meant the world to me. So getting to contact him in the afterlife has been really beneficial to me.
And he's still there. And the first thing that happened when I connected with Gorgeous was that he was a total bundle of energy, and it felt like puppy energy. He told me that he loved being a puppy, and that's actually how he appeared to me. And he said that he loved his life with you. He was totally spoiled.
That makes me so happy to hear, because and even as a puppy, he was everything to us. And, he was so full of energy, and, we never knew really to do with all that energy, because dogs, when they are young, they're like children, but like on crack. I feel they're so much crazier. They never stop. And he was that dog. I remember one time he jumped out the car window while we were packing the car, getting ready to go away. And he followed a jogger like 3 miles down the road. And we're like panicked and wondering where this dog went. And he was just, following a jogger. And the jogger called us from his collar. But, he was just that bundle of energy as a dog.
So because he came to me as a puppy, I wondered how you have seen him in dreams.
He came to me and I can't remember if he was a puppy or if he was an adult. All I really remember about I had one dream that went all night long. I had one dream where I went to bed and the whole night he was with me and I woke up the next morning and it was just like he had said goodbye and then I woke up and it was morning. So I don't know everything that happened during this dream. I just remembered that I could see him, I could feel him, I could smell him, and when I woke up, I really felt that the bed was still warm from where he was next to me.
So that what you experienced there is a visit, and that's much, much deeper than just a dream, because and that's also a testament to the love that you share, because it takes so much energy, and Gorgeous had to draw on the love that you share in order to convey those feelings to you. That's
Mhm.
pretty cool.
Oh, yes, and it really I mean, I can't even say enough about this dog. I think every person that met this dog, he was their favorite dog. Even if they had dogs at home, Gorgeous was their favorite dog.
So he would be your heart dog, really.
Mhm. For
Okay.
sure. I actually did a mediumship course, and the third part of going under and going through the veil and going to this place where you meet your spirit guides and whatnot, and I had met both my spirit guides, and then he came running down the road, and I could see him, and he ran right up to me, and then that was the part where I was like, "I can't continue the course because I have to have this visit right now." Like, I was an emotional mess, but those moments that we do get in the afterlife with them are so important, I feel, for healing, and what you do is heal people, and I think
I
a
like to
lot.
think so. I mean, that's really the true purpose of what I do. And that's why I wrote the books, the Pets in the Afterlife books, so that everybody could learn. They don't need a medium. They just need to learn how to observe the signs for themselves and recognize them.
Yes, and you told me that one of the signs that, Gorgeous was using to communicate with me was using the number 3.
Yes.
So, before you even said that to me, I have always been a big noticer of sixes, threes, nines, any of those 3 digits. Like 369 has always been something. 666, 999, 333. Anything with those specific digits is something I always immediately pick up on. So
Hmm.
saying that Gorgeous is saying the number 3 or saying that that means something to him, that could come from the fact that of that. There's so many other things it could be too, of course.
Sure. So when I give a number from a a pet, the pet is actually helped by a human in spirit, because that's how they know the number 3. Unless you teach your dog numbers, like for instance, in my house, I have every night at 7:30, I have 3 treat time. So I hold up my finger and I say treat number 1, then treat number 2, then treat number 3. So our dogs specifically know 1, 2, and 3.
Oh,
um, but when a dog in spirit or a person in spirit gives you a number, it's called an angel number, and that number has a lot of different types of significance. So it could represent a month, a day, a year. It could be a birthday, an anniversary, an adoption, a passing, um, anything like that. And when they repeat, that's how they let you know that they're there.
yeah, and, you had mentioned the number 3, and then we kinda talked a little bit about, like, what that could mean, and, there are 3 humans in my house. He was one of 3 dogs. So the number 3 was significant in more ways than one. I didn't look at the date he passed. I didn't really wanna go through the photos, or go back to the exact date and just relive some of that stuff just yet. So I didn't look to see if there was a 3 anywhere in there, but
Did he pass in 2023?
he did pass in 2023,
Okay,
right in
there,
the beginning of it. I think January.
there's a 3. Okay.
Yeah, and, you kept mentioning a blanket, with Gorgeous too, and I don't think he ever really had a blanket that he loved in the house, but he was wrapped in a blanket when he was put down, and that's how she carried him out of the house, and that might be the blanket he is speaking of, and what
Yeah, so when I did the reading, he told me that before he passed, he was telling me about being carried in a blanket. So you have just confirmed exactly what he told me. That is really amazing.
Yeah, and
So
I
he
used to like have him in a blanket on the couch with me. I always am covered in a blanket on the couch, and I call my blanket Sheila's. And I don't know why, I just always have called them Sheila's. And that's specifically for like fur blankets. But Gorgeous always used to have to sit in between my legs on the blanket.
Okay. So yeah, he didn't mention that he had a specific blanket. All he mentioned to me was that he was carried in a blanket before he passed.
Yeah, and it definitely could have been from that for sure.
That's pretty interesting because sometimes pets will tell me that if they have a specific blanket, they want the pet parent to keep the blanket and maybe put it on their bed or give it to the next dog. But he didn't say any of that. So that
Okay.
makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and I mean, he was wrapped in a blanket. He was carried. I called him a little burrito when she carried him out. Like he was so beautiful. It was the best way to put a dog down. Using this service, the first dog we had to put down, we did it at the vet, thinking it was going to be really nice and calming and comforting. And it was during COVID, and
So
they were so rude about the whole thing. Like, you can't come in the building, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I'm like, my dog is getting put down, and you're not going to tell me I can't be there for it.
exactly. Yeah.
So, it was just that was a nightmare. So having to do this, we did this at home with him. We put him down at home, and he had a blanket, and they wrapped him in that blanket. And you mentioned in your readings as well that our other dog Oreo came through too, and Oreo was kind of like this little shit dog. He was like a little dog that we were like, he is the tormentor of the household. He is
Oh,
a little caca. He was definitely a humper. He was a cat. So we call him a cat because he, like, if he wanted the attention, great. If he didn't and you went near him, he would bite you like a cat.
so that yeah. So when Oreo came through, and I didn't know what kind of a dog Oreo was. So when I get messages from Spirit, because I didn't know which dog was Oreo. All I got was Oreo's essence, and Oreo conveyed his personality. And I remember, and I wrote, the dog in Spirit seems a little more stubborn in his ways. So
You were
um,
talking about Oreo for sure in those moments.
that's Oreo.
He was just he was a little shit in a sense, like that, exactly what I was saying. He definitely if it wasn't going his way, then he was just gonna lay on the top of the couch and stay by himself.
I remember when I was talking to Gorgeous that Oreo pushed his way forward and told me that he was the one that's appeared to other dogs after he passed, and he's going to be there first because he's he's the most stubborn of all of them.
Yeah, he was definitely the attention hog too. When he wanted it, he wanted it. But like I said, when he didn't, he didn't. He was a cat, like, in those ways. And you did mention in the reading that they are both trying to teach our dogs little tricks of things that they do. And how does that work?
So in order for them to prove to their pet parent that they're still around, they will teach some of the living dogs to do something that they used to do, whether it would be um, being, well, in the case of Oreo, being more assertive, or in the case of Gorgeous, more physically attentive. Um, so you may see some of those traits come through with your other dogs that you didn't notice before.
Yeah, one thing you mentioned, that you said something about food. I'm looking at the paper right now. So something about food. Their other involves a head shake, and so the food thing first is he used to spin around in circles when we were pouring the food into the bowls, like really, really fast. Gorgeous used to do that almost his whole life. He did this. We have
Oh,
videos of Gorgeous doing this, but the new puppy, Handsome, does this every single time there's a treat, food, anything involved. He is spinning in circles so fast on the floor. And that is
did,
something that only Gorgeous did.
did so? And Handsome is the new dog.
Handsome is a puppy. He's less than 2 years old. He's probably turning 2 next month, actually.
So, but Handsome had met Gorgeous.
Never, never.
Never.
Oreo
Okay.
and Gorgeous never met Handsome. So actually, Gorgeous didn't pass in 2023. It was 2022.
2022. Okay.
So yeah, because we got Handsome 2 years. Handsome's going to be 2 years old in July, so it was 2022 that Gorgeous passed. I'm
Okay.
just so off with time.
We like to. It's because they're so close to our heart. I mean, it's hard to keep track. So that truly explains that Gorgeous is there training Handsome to go around in circles.
Yeah, I thought that was super cute because as soon as you said food, I'm like, I already know what this is because he spins around in circles and it's kind of crazy, and I'm like, what is going on? There was something else that came up with with the way their heads move. So this is something that pugs do. But Gorgeous did this a lot more than other pugs. It's the when you ask questions and they're constantly look like they're listening to you and they move their head around like an owl almost. And Handsome's not quite there, but sometimes he does that weird thing where he looks at you and he kind of looks dumb. And that's something that Gorgeous definitely did a lot. Gorgeous was always listening to what we were saying. I think more than anything else, always really intuitive to what we were thinking and saying. And you could see that in him.
That's really cool. So you had mentioned to me something about your grandmother came through at one point to another medium.
Yeah, and said that she tries to make my dogs bark.
Okay.
To let me know that she's here.
Okay, because when I was communicating with Gorgeous, he barked, and then he was showing me the living room, and then he was showing me the bedroom, and those are places where the bark would come from.
Yes.
So that makes sense. That he may have been barking at your grandmother, but now he just barks to you. Oh. He barks to you and your husband. So it's not about your grandmother anymore. It's about you and your husband.
Yeah, and we'll just be watching TV or doing something, and Handsome goes bananas and starts barking at the kitchen. And the way our living room is, it's kind of like open concept, so you can see into our kitchen from our living room. But, and I really think that, and none of the other dogs are even fazed by it. It's just Handsome barking. So Handsome is like picking up on something for sure in this house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it could be Gorgeous. I hope it is.
So, yeah. So when they start barking at nothing and there's nothing you can see, if you get the sensation that somebody is there, trust your feelings. I always say trust your feelings.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the exact same way. I always trust everything. If I'm feeling something, that means something is happening that's making me feel a certain way. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's something I've learned through mediumship courses and other things, and just trusting your own guts. Your own guts never lie to you. One thing I had talked about though is that we didn't really know he passed. We didn't have an autopsy done. I mean, he was older and he looked like it was coming soon. And at this point, we really just didn't see the need to do an autopsy just to tell us how he had passed, because we knew it was coming regardless. And you had mentioned that he was indicating aches on the left side of his chest, breathing issues. He was tired towards the end, feeling worn down. Yeah, and he really was that way. He couldn't get around a lot towards the end of his life. I remember having to pick him up off the couch. I remember bring him onto the couch. He couldn't go up and down the stairs anymore. Just bringing him outside to go to the bathroom. We had to carry him down the 2 or 3 stairs that we have outside too.
Gosh, yeah.
His quality of life towards the end, I think we were hanging on to him longer, for ourselves, selfishly, as most pet parents probably do. But it it did come down to a day where everything changed.
Yeah, and that's usually what happens, and it's right then, and you knew that. So no, you didn't hang on to him longer than you should have. He let you know when it was time. Our dog Franklin did the very same thing. When Franklin, who was 60 and a half years old before he passed, was ready to go, he couldn't really walk on his back legs. He dragged himself out of our den to be isolated from us, and that was his sign to us that it was time to go. So no, it was the right time for Gorgeous, and they appreciate it so much from the other side. They're so grateful because it means that you and your husband learned the lesson of unconditional love that he was here to teach.
Mm. That's so cute and sad, and I'm already crying a little bit, and I'm trying to just like keep it
I'm
as dry as
sorry.
possible. No, it's okay. It's emotional. Every time even if I look at old photos of him, I just start bawling. It's just something that
Oh, I've been there.
it's like the first love you ever had, kind of, and the first dog love I ever had, and it was so unconditional from him, and there were just so many moments in his life that were just incredible. He was just an incredible dog, and I mean, if I was Barbara Streisand, my ass would be cloning him over and over like she's doing with our dog because, just
That's
the
right.
best
She did that.
animal. Yeah, I
Um,
can't believe she's doing that. How do you feel about that, by the way?
oh, there's so many dogs that need a home. I wouldn't. I,
No.
yeah, I would just adopt another dog.
Well, I will tell you, we adopted Oreo, and he was the only dog we've adopted not from, like, a pug breeder or whatever, because he wasn't a pug, and, Oreo was our nuisance. And I was like, everyone talks about how, you adopt a dog from, like, a foster place or, like, a shelter, and they never forget you, and then there's this unconditional love that comes from that, but I don't think we ever really got that from Oreo, or he just had a different way of showing that unconditional love.
So he probably did because we have three dogs that were rescues, and they all came with their own hangups. One doesn't like men with beards or black pants because apparently he was abused by that
Oh.
when he was a puppy. Another one was afraid of women because he was abused by a woman, and another one just likes to growl at everybody. so, and he had a tough life. He was apparently abused too, but it even though they have that kind of personality, maybe like Oreo did, it doesn't mean they love you any less. It just means that they're still coping with what they grew up with. But the love is absolutely there.
Oh.
I want to go back for just a second about when Gorgeous was making me feel how he was tired and gave me a pain in my chest. So for those who are listening and watching, as a medium, as a pet medium, pets will often convey their physical feelings to me. So I have felt heart problems and kidney failure and cancer and different and lameness. Sometimes I feel one of my legs go lame or numb while I'm sitting here typing the reading, and it usually turns out that's the case. But with Gorgeous, the other thing too is that I was actually sitting at the keyboard doing the reading with him, and I suddenly had to take short, deep breaths over and over again, like almost like a gasp. And it really did make me think that there was some kind of like heart failure too with him.
It very well could have been. It
Yeah,
really, really could. We don't know, but I mean, when he woke up that day, we knew that morning that something was really, really not right,
yeah.
and he had already progressed into whatever next phase of whatever illness or ailment he had had in that moment,
Hmm.
and he was completely gone from every part of him except his eyes. And I mean, I spent the whole day lying with him in his dog bed and spending as much time as I could before the next day. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Oh, I've been there. I did that with our dog Dolly when she on her last night, and I was laying on the floor in the kitchen with my head on her bed next to her, and it was just really emotional. And when I talk about it, I'm a ball of tears. So I'm not going to talk about it right now.
Yeah, I'm already there. Let's not both be crying.
Yeah. So did you ever put any outfits on him, like sweaters or shirts or?
When
Um,
you did say that part of the reading, I was like, we didn't really dress them up, but when we did, it was super cheesy and super funny. And there was a couple of times that stood out to me, and like one of them was at our wedding, he wore a tuxedo.
oh,
And my
perfect.
favorite photo of him ever is this picture of him just sitting on our wedding day, at the venue in a tuxedo, just looking up at the camera. And that is one of those moments. But the other one was is we used to have this like Pocahontas costume for the dogs. And for some reason, we always used to love putting Gorgeous in that little wig with the braids and like the little Pocahontas costume. And he would just like stare at us like, why? But I think he really, like you mentioned in the reading, that he may have ended up liking this in the end. But I think after a while of us putting him in, we would buy these cheesy costumes off of like Etsy, bikinis, like doggy bikinis, doggy fireman outfits. And we never made like had them in them for very long. It was more or less for photos. And I have one with them with teddy bear ears on. So I'm not surprised he showed you that we like to dress him
Oh
up.
gosh, so I remember he was talking about dressing up, and I didn't know if you had put outfits on him. I didn't see any. You just sent me a couple of pictures of him, and he said at first it felt weird, but he got used to it, and then he ultimately liked it
Oh,
because it gave him the attention. He got a lot more attention when he was wearing these outfits.
yeah. I think Gorgeous is probably the dog in the house that got the most attention anyway, because I really feel like I mentioned, he was the dog that like every person that came over fell in love with. He was everybody's favorite dog, even if they had 2 or 3 at home on their own. He was just this hunka chunka old man. We called him Chunky Buns. That was his nickname, Chunky Buns, because he had the biggest butt. And just he would just walk like, pugs are just so dainty when they walk, but they're so barrel shaped.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And then you were talking about at one point about how he loved looking into my eyes and
Mhm.
snuggling, and that was really, really something that we did a lot. He really always was like he was my shadow. I called that dog my shadow. I would cook, he would be sitting at my feet, and I would always look down and he'd be looking up at me. Like always looking in my eyes. Always every moment of every day sitting in my, even when I would take him for car rides, like he loved car rides. I have dogs that don't now, but he would sit in the passenger seat and just stare at me. And he never ever wanted to look out the window. Like he just was devoted to always, giving 100% to me.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. I mean, my current heart dog, Tyler, he's a little dachshund. He's 13 and a half years old. He does not like looking in your eyes. He does not, because he's always thinking about where's my toy, where's the food. It's a dachshund.
Yeah.
But
Oh my
so
god.
he doesn't do that. But I used to do that with Dolly, who was my heart dog. She would always stare right into my eyes, and we had that amazing connection.
So you just said heart dog,
Yeah.
and you use that to describe Gorgeous. So, um, are there any like what does that mean? Are there like what are there other things inside from hearts that you call dogs? Like that just stood out for me for some reason. I just wanted to ask.
So a heart dog is the most special dog out of all the dogs that you've had.
Oh yeah, he's a heart
Yeah.
dog.
The one that you're more closely bonded to, the one that intuitively knows what you're thinking and you know what they're thinking. And that's what I call a heart dog.
Oh, that makes it
Not a
even
hot
more amazing. Yeah, he definitely was the heart dog.
Yeah.
And he was a snuggler. You wrote that on there, and that dog never spent a night. I mean, I remember this is something that like I always think about every time I think about him for some reason. And I just remember, I don't know how old he was. He was still a puppy, but I remember the first night that he ended up sleeping with me. And I tried so hard for weeks before to get him to just come over to my side of the bed and lay there. And he
Mhm.
just never did. And then one night he just came over and he curled up right next to me. And it was the first and the every single night after that for the rest of his life, I don't think he ever left my side.
That's
He
awesome.
always was sleeping around right here in my neck, in my chest, on my pillow. He really was my heart dog, and he did sleep with me. He was definitely, and I still feel him in the bed. I know
You
you said
do?
that in the comments, and yeah, there'll be
Yeah.
nights where I wake up and I'll like feel around, and I'm like, oh, there's a hole here, and it is a hole from him. I have a dog that sleeps in its spot now that was alive when Gorgeous was alive, and she kind of sleeps like him, and I think he may have taught her that and
Hmm.
made her, almost like what a stress ball for me, something to to go to find comfort when I can't have him. And she's definitely become a close dog to me and right up there with him. But
yeah, he definitely would have influenced her to kind of do things that he did, so that you would know that he's still around. Number one, and number two, that that she learned that from him. So
I love that. And the reading was really, really good. And it's 2 pages, and I highly encourage anyone that needs some sort of closure, or some sort of explanation, or it's just something to make their heart feel better. It did that for me reading it.
thank you. I'm so pleased to hear that. And what was interesting about your reading, Monique, is that you really didn't ask any questions. All of these things just came out from him. So sometimes I get people that will send me 10 or 15 questions, and it takes me a long, long time. But and this one, your reading took an hour because he was so talkative, and you didn't even ask me a question. You just wanted to know if he was okay. So pets will tell us so much right from the beginning when I connect to them, and that's normally what I do when I do a reading. I don't look at the questions until your pet stops talking, and then I'll say, okay, let's see if you answered these. And actually, when I got to the bottom, I saw, actually, I think he had a couple of questions, and I saw that he had already answered everything. So
yeah, you had said that. Now I'll take a look at your questions. Oh, I guess I covered them all. And I really like that Oreo cake. I didn't even tell you about Oreo. I don't think I gave you that much information on Oreo. And I knew he would come through. I knew he would probably pass right through Gorgeous and come right over to you just to take some of that attention. And that was just Oreo. But Oreo wasn't a bad dog. He was just a different kind of dog.
Yeah, he was a little headstrong when he came through, but
yeah.
So 100%. That was awesome because his personality came right through too. So yeah, all our pets are all together on the other side, and we should take comfort in that. We should also take comfort in knowing that they're there waiting for us. So I'm so happy that this meant so much to you, and it meant a lot to me too. It really did. I mean, it was an honor, first of all, to do this for you and your husband, because our pets are our kids, and you'll never forget it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I have a kid too, but there's just something about dogs are just, I said this on the first podcast we did together too. Like they really are just those creatures that provide you the most unconditional form of love you can imagine. And they get such a little amount of time with us, and it sucks that we don't get to spend more time with them. And like, I'm so happy that I've been learning, mediumship and stuff over the past few years, because it has given me opportunities to spend time with him, even though he's no longer here.
Absolutely.
And I feel that people buying your book and learning about the signs that their dogs give them, and I really feel like it would be a huge beneficial thing for somebody who has a really hard time with losing pets, and just to learn the signs and the things just that you told me to look for and pick up on. I'm 100% more in tune to that now because of this email. And I just got this email last night, everybody. It's not like I've been sitting on this for days. I literally came last night and I was like, I happen to be in drag tomorrow. Let's go over this on the podcast. And I read it one time because I didn't want to dive too deep into it before tonight. But the significance of the signs and everything that you told me to look out for really is.
Thank you. Yeah, I saw your message this morning and I said, oh my gosh, she wants to talk tonight.
I hate getting in drag for a 15-minute phone call. So I'm like, let me add on whatever I can to tonight. And it was the perfect moment. I'm not doing anything else after this. So all this makeup I'm crying off, I just gonna wash it off anyway.
It's good. Well, if so I'll just let people know that if they have lost a pet, a couple of things. Number one, your pet is okay in spirit. Number two, they thank you for helping them cross over out of pain if you did. Number three, if you weren't there, they chose to pass when you weren't there because they know it would be more traumatic for you to see them pass, and you would never get that memory out of your mind. Just like people, they make their own decisions if they want to pass surrounded by loved ones or by themselves. So nothing to feel guilty about if you're not there. It was their choice. Also, for people going through extreme grief, I recommend talking to a grief counselor. Grief counselors also deal with people who lost pets. My last two books, Pets in the Afterlife 3 about dogs and 4 about cats, have a special chapter from licensed professionals who deal with grief. They're grief counselors and they're friends of mine, and they wrote those chapters to help you get through your grief. And read the books and learn how to see the signs for yourself. You don't need someone like me to tell you what your pets are going to do. Just listen and watch, and you'll be comforted. The last thing I want to mention is if you have a toy of theirs or something of theirs, put it on your bed or put it in your bed. When my dog Dolly passed in 2020, October 22nd, I took her toy that she had. It was a stuffed wood sock, and I put it on my bed. And Monique, I sleep with that toy every single night.
Oh,
I do, because I love her so much, and I know she's with me. And that's really healing. So it is something also to consider. But again, thank you for the opportunity.
and I consider myself healed. I do. I consider myself healed, but I'm just reliving it right now, and I'll never forget him or the love he gave, and I can't wait, to see him again. But after you lose one, I think you kind of you learn how to heal after that too, and I'm glad I didn't lose him first for that reason, because I learned a lot losing our first dog, which was Oreo. And then, I mean, it only took a month before we lost a second. So I think that put so much anxiety in me about my dogs, because now I'm like, you can have 3 one day and 2 not a month later, 2 gone a month later. And that just is another sign of saying, hug them today, spoil their asses, give them as much love as you can, because it's never promised that we're going to have another month with them.
Absolutely.
And
I need to go hug my dogs. As a matter of fact, they're snoring right underneath me.
Mine are probably waiting for dinner upstairs.
Oh.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on and doing the results. I'm sorry I'm a little messy, but it's something that is sad to me.
I love it. That's what makes you a wonderful person. You have such a big heart, and you're sensitive, and you're loving, and you're appreciative and caring, and I am so thankful for our friendship.
Oh.
I mean, really, you are such a gift to me. So thank you.
I was so excited to meet you last year, and I am so glad we have become friends, outside of the whole ruckus of everything in the paranormal world. And I appreciate you just as much as you appreciate me. And I really, really thank you for this reading. And where can people go to book a reading with you? I think you actually said you weren't taking any more pet readings for a while.
Yeah, it's currently June 2024, and I'm not booking opening until January 2025 for August 2025 because I'm booked that far out. So just watch robgutro.com or petspirits.com for information about a reading. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on again. I really appreciate this, and we'll be chatting soon. And thank you again.
You're very welcome.
It's time to meet Monique. There's no one quite like she. All ghost hunting drag queen. She'll tell you all you need. Cause strikes the highest form of energy there is. So come on, boys and girls, join our paranormal world. Ghost and glitter. Join the ghostess with the mostest. Ghost and glitter. Monique too soon, hope you don't scare too soon. Ghost and glitter. Ghost and glitter. Join the ghostess with the mostest. Ghost and glitter.
Thank you for listening to Ghost and Glitter. My name is Amy Champion, and please follow my papa, Mike Too Soon, on all social media. And be sure to leave a great review.